All right, everybody, welcome to the trenches. This is Bill Crespo. We have a great subject today, and this is something very interesting. With everybody doing social media right now, could there be a possibility? And now with the introduction of more AI, could you have a copyright infringement issue? So we brought in the expert friend, fellow agent, client, just someone who's been doing a lot of work, Sandy Williams, who is the expert on dealing with these situations with her own blogging. So, Sandy, tell us a little bit about what's going on and the magnitude of what's happening with just with blogging today, and then we'll get into the real subject later on. So, tell us a little bit more about what are some of the guidelines here that we have to be careful with.
So when we start posting content, whether or not it's on a blog post or it's a video, it automatically gets we publish it, right? We publish that information, it's out to the world. So the United States government looks at that publication as something of value, especially in our business, because I mean, our intent of making that, right, Bill, is that we want to make money off the content that we
Of course.
generate.
Right.
So we can talk about a couple things. I mean, we can talk about your published work, not with AI. Your published work, if you're going to use AI, is that if you're going to use AI as part of in your toolbox to create blogs or even videos, a word to the wise, because I've had two conversations with copyright attorneys
Right.
in the past 2 weeks about AI, about creating content and putting it out there in the world once you publish it. So you need to be checking you should have a plagiarism checker for your AI content, because
How do you do that? I mean, how do you?
there's
What is
software
that?
out there. Just Google plagiarism checkers. There's several out there, and you can just, some are free, some are. I personally, I can't even remember. I've had it for so long that it's already, it's like a bookmark. So I use that, but I check plagiarism because the AI isn't always accurate. First of all, we know that AI is not 100% accurate, and they're getting that information from somewhere. So the worst thing that can happen to you is, well, second to worst thing that can happen to you is that you plagiarize somebody else's written work, right? That's a really no. I mean, we all know that colleges kick students out for plagiarism. Well, in the real world, people get sued for
Tell
that.
them what happened to you. Remember a couple years ago? Was it a couple years ago when you hired someone and you found something out? Tell them about
Yeah,
that story.
Yeah, so I do all my work. So anything that I create that's like real estate related, from that you would write from experience, I create myself. But then I create hyper local pieces, meaning like what's there to do around, the neighborhood the next 5 days, or the best restaurants to take mom, or whatever that is, something that I can hire a ghostwriter out for. So I hired this guy a couple years ago to do that type of content. And it was interesting because when I hired him at first, he was kind of rusty, which is what I expect from a ghostwriter. But then like 3 months later, his stuff got really good. And I'm like, wait a minute, you don't go from just being an okay writer to being really good in three
Yeah, right.
months. So I ran his articles through the plagiarism checker. And in fact, he did steal from realtor.com. He stole from, I mean, he pick and choose, and he literally stole the context. It wasn't the idea, but it was truly the written word. And I do use the word steal because that's what it is. It's theft.
Hmm. Well, so you must have been like, oh my gosh, I cannot
Oh my
believe.
gosh. Yeah, you want to end up in a lawsuit really fast? Have your ghostwriter plagiarize and then publish that written work. And it's interesting. And we'll talk about this in a minute about plagiarism, copyright theft, or copyright violations in third parties. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. So this guy, now you're responsible. This guy does this plagiarism. It's not going to go on him as well. You could go after him, but it's on you, right?
It's on you. It's truly on you. So if you hire somebody or you're taking AI and you don't check that work and it's plagiarism and you publish that work, you're in bigger trouble than plagiarism. It's called copyright infringement.
Wow.
It's breaking a federal law. It's a federal violation.
It's interesting. This is a little bit not off of what you said, but here's what we're used to hearing. And now from our discussions, it's gone to a whole nother level. And we're going to talk about that. But here, what are 4 examples of infringement? It says here, and this is what we're probably used to. And then we're not used to what's coming. It says illegally downloading music files, uploading someone else's copyrighted material to an accessible web page, downloading licensed software from an unauthorized site, modifying and reproducing someone else's creative work without making significant changes, recording a movie in a theater. Those are the common ones that we're kind of used to. But now with this AI and the fact that we want to be social people online and all this stuff, it's gotten to be like, because you were shocked when you found out yours. You were completely shocked.
Yeah, I was shocked. From the person that I paid for to do that. And then when I actually confronted him, he was like, well, it's not really stealing. I mean, I kind of did. I'm like, no, it's like saying you're either a thief or you're not a thief.
Right.
There's no gray area. Either
I kind of robbed the bank. I kind of robbed it. I mean, it was kind of. I walked in with a gun.
Not only that, but you stole that people's work and you expect me to pay for your thievery. So you want me to pay you for work you didn't create that you stole from someone else.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And just tell them how often you're doing your blogs, because you're not just doing this every other month. You're out there doing stuff on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably see I've got video lighting in the back here because we made videos today. So I've kind of learned my lesson a little bit. So now I create a blog and then I'm going to create a video. That blog gets copywritten as soon as it's published. I'm filing it with the United States Government Copyright Office. And
how much is that?
I haven't looked into the video yet, but if I can copyright videos, I'm going to do that as well.
How much does that cost to do that?
So let's say that you make 3 videos within 3 months or 3 blogs within 3 months, it's only $65. So you can file multiple pieces of work on one form as long as it's done within the 3-month time frame. So it's cheap. It's cheap because, Bill, I always say, I just got a call today off of a video I made, and it's for a $900,000 buyer. So those videos or those blog posts are equivalent to me writing a hit record, right? I can make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on a blog post or a video.
And so this is why we got to be aware. This is why we've got to understand this.
Yeah, it's a big commercial. When you're good at this and you study it, and not only good, but you are consistent, right? You can be bad and put stuff out there. If you're consistent, people are going to pick up on it.
Right.
So we do it for commercial trade, right? We're in the business to make money. So when somebody steals that commercial trade, they're stealing from us financially.
So easily to be done. And, what you think is a good idea that you had, like you thought you hired this person, that was a shocker. So now we have to really vet the people that we're hiring to do this work. And we're going to go to your issue, the big issue here in a second, but how would you vet these people? How do you know you've got a good person working with you? And are there certain questions? Can you research these people? Or do you have to go through a situation like you went through and then fire them and then you had the wrong person?
Well, you can ask for samples of their work. So you can see, show me some of your recent publications, and then I would run that software. I would write
Very good.
copyright infringement over that particular work of art. I would probably ask for at least 5, maybe a past reference in that type of skill. A lot of times you can go to copyright, you can go to ghost writers. There's companies out there that you can do, but if you're going to do an individual, my recommendation is to look for a college student who's getting a marketing degree, or an English degree, or a literature degree, or history, somebody that knows how to write, but you can get them cheap, and you can go to your local college at least here. And the big universities are going to have job boards for college students. And do you really care if they write it at 3 a.m? I don't care. I just want it done by a certain time.
Right.
I'm going back to the college students for video editing and photography, which I've done all the time, and it's half the price.
That's a great idea. So let's go into the story, the meat. That when I talked to Sandy, like, I don't know, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? And I would say that you were on fire, to say the least, about what you learned, and tell them what you learned. I guess we can't really give names out or whatever, but you could tell them what happened and then how you learned that this was not a good thing.
Yeah. So, imagine taking a year off of your work, putting in $50,000 worth of work, crafting your art and putting it out there and being successful, making, $300,000-$400,000 a year in commission off of what you've created from the time that you did it, right? And then imagine that somebody thought it was a really good idea to take one of your blogs and turn it into a video, not just once, but 3 times. How would you feel if they started taking hundreds of thousands of dollars of business away from you, and you found it out a year after they started doing it? So they've been doing this for over a year and a half. They've been taking my written content and creating videos out of it, to the point where I had to hire an attorney, file with the United States government copyright protection, so that I can hopefully just ask for a cease and desist. But I am preparing for a lawsuit.
Well, interesting that this was a written blog that you did, that they probably thought, hey, I can get away with it, no one will ever know, filmed it. So I guess the point that we want to get to you guys out there is that this was a written blog that Sandy did, that this person, and I saw it, was chronologically in the order of your blog, everything.
And even read sentences from my written word in their video. So they did plagiarize, because they spoke what I wrote, but they also took that creative approach and made we call it a derivative. Obviously, I didn't know what a derivative was until 2 weeks ago. But my attorney said, Sandy, it's like taking a book like Harry Potter, one of the books of Harry Potter, and saying, oh, that's a really good movie. I'm going to take that book and I'm going to create a movie. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's going to be called Perry Hodder.
Yeah. Or Lord of the Bands instead of Lord of the Rings, right? So I'm gonna change it up just a little bit, but I'm gonna follow the same sequence. It's beyond the illegal. It's a federal law violation.
Well, what we talked about just recently we had somebody who was a singer who copyrighted or just went ahead and pulled some lyrics from a song, went to court. But now, because we as salespeople in the real estate industry, and really whatever sales industry you're in, you're producing a lot of stuff. You start to look for ideas and you start stealing ideas. And and we'll talk about this, but it says here that anyone found liable for civil copyright infringements can be ordered to pay damages with fines ranging from $750 to $30,000 per week infringed. Per week infringed.
So this has been a year and a half.
So really, if you wanted to, I mean, this is huge. This is not, it's not going to happen to me because you never thought it was going to happen to you, and it happened to you. And this is not a small thing because it says right here that this could go up to, court may award up to $150,000 per work infringed.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and your E&O, your errors and omissions insurance isn't going to go
It's
after.
not going to cover that.
Not going to cover thief. You're a thief. Your broker's not going to protect you, but your broker's going to get sued for it too, which means they're probably going to sue you after they pay up because I'm sure in your operating agreements, they have something that says, if you do something stupid, like steal something, yeah, I'm going to ask for my money back once I settle out of court.
There's a hold harmless. And so now, so let's think about this. Let's say you find out that something like this has happened. What are the steps to go through so that you get yourself either compensated or you have some type of cease and desist take place?
So one of my biggest takeaways is to, as soon as you publish that work, that video, something that's very unique to what you've done, go get it copywritten. It's so cheap. And believe me, once you do that, although you are protected once it's put out there, right, but you cannot go sue someone or ask them to stop stealing from you until the United States government has actually acknowledged your work. So the biggest takeaway is record your stuff with the government. And then what happens is once that's recorded, then you can ask them for a cease and desist. And if they don't do it, then your next step is a lawsuit. But the cool part about YouTube, and we're going to go this avenue as well, is that once that particular article is acknowledged by the United States government, I can go to YouTube and say, and file a copyright infringement, which is probably worse than suing somebody, because 3 strikes on YouTube and you're out of business. They pull your channel down and you're done. But also the person that was violated, which would be me, wherever that video is at, my name and my video and my publication goes in the place of that person's video. So
wait a minute. So when they pull that person's slot out, you move into that slot.
Correct.
You move into that space.
Yeah. Wow. When they pull that video for copyright infringement, I actually get that information. So I'm thinking that probably what happens is my name and everything goes in place of where that video was.
That's huge.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you want to go out of business and destroy your social media career, just go steal somebody's stuff really fast. And then you do it 3 times with YouTube and you're out, you're done. All your videos, everything gets pulled up, everything you've worked for is gone.
Yeah, this is much more serious than I knew until you and I had that conversation. So I think it's very important that we understand that, like she said, copywriting it, $65 for 3 is great. What about finding that right attorney too? Because I think you had to kind of search around. What kind of attorney are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking for a copyright attorney. I interviewed 2 attorneys and both of them admitted, wow, we've never seen somebody write a blog post and then it's stolen. And I didn't think they understood the severity, because they were like, oh, and I'm like, no. This blog post is like a hit record. I probably made $250,000 in the last 2 or 3 years off of this one blog post. And when I said that, they were like, what? I mean, I don't think they realize the power that agents can have from doing accurate social media, finding the correct client, offering up creating irresistible offers, right? I don't think that even attorneys realize that there's real estate agents out there making that kind of money, and that we're serious about what we put out there in the world and we're going to defend it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that because there's a lot of money involved there. I think they didn't realize the connection between the commissions and that. They
Correct.
think it's an advertising thing, which it is, but I mean, it was probably more, they thought it was more branding than it was capturing leads. But I know for a fact, because we've been working together for some time, is that you've done very well with your content. You've also spent a lot of money learning to do this. So this person takes this from you, you understood the amount of information to put out, how to put the information out, how to get someone to want to be enticed to continue to read it. And this person says, I'm going to do it off of YouTube. They'll never know. I'm not going to write it. And guess what? You found out. How did you actually find out? I don't know if I asked you that. How did you find out?
Because what I do is when I think of an idea, I'll go in and I'll search it through Google, or I'll search it on YouTube. Well, Google owns YouTube. So now that search engine, YouTube is showing up as an article or a video. So before, we never competed on Google with YouTube, but we are now. Because YouTube has probably 5 billion users every single day. And now that Google owns YouTube, it's a match made in heaven. So I usually start searching because I obviously don't want to do something that somebody's already created. So I'm already out there looking at different avenues if that content's already been made. And so it was time for me to make a video off of that blog post. And so I just went in and searched the name of my blog post and that came up.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal thing, guys. And Sandy, for those who want to reach out to you to find more information out about this, because I got a feeling there's going to be some calls and people are going to want to know, and also let us know that this was helpful, because I think this is going to be a continuing issue. AI is growing. Things are going to be happening. You're going to have to market more assertively and aggressively with the market shifting. How can they get a hold of you?
You can email me at Sandy, SANDY, at sandywilliams.com. So Sandy at sandywilliams.com. Or you can call me. My cell phone number, I don't mind giving it to you. It's 305-962-5464. And just a word of caution. And I laughed and joked with my husband. I said, heck, my part-time job could just be defending my work, and it could be very lucrative, because when you file, as soon as you create something and you file with the US copyright, if you do go after them, they pay all your legal fees. So could you imagine? Yeah, could you imagine making $1 million or over $1 million a year just defending what
just
you wrote?
Defending your content.
Oh, real estate.
Hey, think about the record industry, what they're doing. I mean, so this is a big deal thing. It just happens to come into our world now because of all this media, social media that we have to do. But anyway, thanks, Sandy. This is good stuff. Appreciate it. Thanks for being on today. Thanks.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Sandy in the trenches with us today, guys. If you got any questions, just make your comments below. Tell us if you've had a situation like that, and we can bring you on, or you can talk to Sandy. But thanks so much for being on today in the trenches with Bill. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you found it real valuable. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss out on new videos. For more resources and tools, check out the links in the description below. And if you want to stay up to date with our latest content, make sure to tune in weekly for new videos, okay? So thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.